Arindam Das Roy and Raman Batra from One Stop from Cvent, and the topic is One Stop Automated Solution for Non-Functional Testing. I would like to invite them up on stage.
Right. So good afternoon, everyone. This is an honor for us to get an opportunity to present our practice at this forum in front of so many intelligent minds. Thank you, STC, for this opportunity. The title of our presentation is One-Stop Automated Solution for Non-Functional Testing. Here we are going to present how we have brought 4 different non-functional aspects under one roof. Hi, I'm Arindam Das Roy, Manager of Quality Engineering at Cvent, and with me is my colleague Raman Batra, who is Principal Estate with us. So let me go over the agenda of today's presentation. First of all, we'll have a brief introduction about the need of non-functional testing in today's world and why it is so important for Cvent and surely many other companies. We'll also talk about the problem statement and challenges we usually face regarding the non-functional testing. Then we'll show you all how we have implemented the automated solution to solve our purpose and make it easy and the additional benefits it brings. In the end, we'll also talk about the SWOT analysis of our solution. And finally, we'll take up a few questions. So quality expectations from a modern enterprise solution have reached a high standard these days. Gone are those days when testing was all about making sure that functional behavior was as expected. Considering non-functional testing is equally important, if not more. The importance of non-functional aspect has grown rapidly in the last decade, more so during the last 2 years since the pandemic threatened to stop the growth of our industry. I'll give you an example. Cvent organizes an annual event called Cvent Connect. Until 2019, when it was in person, nearly 4,000 attendees used to register. But in 2020, when it went virtual, we had seen over 40,000 registrations. So being a leading meeting events and hospitality technology provider, Cvent deals with non-functional testing as much as we do for functional. So you all are aware that non-functional testing is a huge umbrella. We are going to focus on some of them in this presentation, which are the top needs for Cvent products as well. We need to make sure that our products are accessibility compliant, compatible with different platforms, web page performance are of high standards, and at the same time secure from vulnerabilities and threats. Why do we consider these as critical aspects for our products? Accessibility ensures usability, makes it available for users, including those having various impairments. We do have government regulations to meet and enhances overall experience. With more users joining us from the comfort of their homes these days, many of them having impairments, it is our responsibility to think about their needs as well. The experience of using our product should not degrade, irrespective of the device, browser, operating system, or screen resolution someone is using. Do you know 85% of people think that mobile version of your web page should be better than the desktop, and 38% people will stop engaging if the layout is unattractive? That's where compatibility testing comes into picture. The importance of web page performance is known to everyone here. Another statistic says that 47% users expect an average web page to load within 2 seconds. Web security is one of the biggest concerns for modern web-based software solutions. It is extremely critical to identify threats in the system and measure vulnerabilities, presence of which can lead to loss of information, revenue, and repute of the organization. All these are extremely critical aspects for Cvent. So before we came up with this solution, we used to dedicate time for each of the aspects. Of course, we were using various tools, but testing was done manually. Now let's see what the challenges were we usually faced, which led to think about the automated solution that we are going to talk about today. Number one, a team needs to have expertise on all these aspects. Usually a team has one tester or an SDET, and it is nearly impossible to have the expertise and knowledge about each and everything and the tools they are supposed to use to carry out the testing. Neither we can expect one person to be an expert in everything, nor we can have 3 or 4 experts in one team. This was thrown as a big challenge. Moreover, appropriate technical knowledge for each of them is equally important. Cvent has a wide range of products with continuous enhancements to make them better, leading to multiple releases every day. Every development team works under tight timelines all the time to make sure that our customers get a better product next day. Is it possible for one tester in a team to look at all these non-functional aspects within a tight timeline or within a sprint? Even if they somehow manage to do so for a release, which would be following the traditional model of testing towards the later phase in the cycle, what's the certainty that some other release by some other team would not cause any trouble? There is no way to make sure we practice continuous testing. I'm sure these are the challenges which almost every organization in the industry faces, not just Cvent. We at Cvent have made this possible to overcome all the challenges and build an easy solution so that the non-functional testing can be catered to within very minimum time. So now let's see the solution we have built. Before we proceed ahead, let me tell you about WebDriver IO. This is the base on top of which we have built our solution. So this is important to understand WebDriver IO and why we have chosen this approach. WebDriver IO is an open source automation test framework for Node.js, which allows to write easy end-to-end automated tests in JavaScript. It supports any application written with modern web frameworks such as React, Angular, Polymer, etc., as well as native mobile applications for Android and iOS. We have built a group of node packages which extends this framework, and this is named CVentWDIO. It is used by the teams to write functional UI tests for the products. We have extended the CVentWDIO to accomplish our goal of accommodating non-functional testing here. Many of you may think, why did we choose to do this? Basically, it is mandatory for the development teams to write end-to-end tests using CVentWDIO. So whatever features they develop, they must write UI automated tests for those. Obviously, it was always a good idea to extend the same framework for our non-functional goals, which would have automatically reduced the time to implement these than in any other way we would have chosen. Now let me go through which tools we are using to implement our solution. For accessibility, we are using X, which is a leading digital accessibility toolkit with rich rule library. This is built on world's most popular accessibility testing library, Xcore. This suite of X tools offers full coverage of accessibility testing and coverage needs. We can easily configure which guidelines we want our web pages to be compliant with, and any non-compliance will be returned in easy to interpret JSON format. Compatibility of our products across different operating systems, browsers, and versions, screen resolution, and devices are ensured by integrating two tools: BrowserStack, which is a leading cloud-based cross-browser testing tool, and ApplyTools, a visual AI-based test platform. BrowserStack is used to verify that the functionality remains unaffected in different browsers and devices. It allows your test to run on more than 3,000 real devices and browsers, and you don't have to compromise with emulators. And ApplyTools is used to quickly detect any visual differences that human eye may not be able to do. For web page performance, we are using Chrome DevTools Suite and Google Lighthouse, which is an open source automated tool to capture performance data from every page load or transition caused by a click, etc. For security, OWASP ZAttack proxy, or ZAP as it is called, is used, which is open source and widely used web app scanner. It acts as an interface between browser and web application and has the capability to intercept the messages between them. ZAP allows active as well as passive scanning for our application. Passive scanning doesn't change the response, which is proxied through ZAP, whereas active scanning runs known attacks on selected targets to detect certain vulnerabilities. Cvent automated solution that we are presenting here integrates all these tools I just mentioned to CVentWDIO to solve our problem. So by now, you have already understood a few things about how we would have implemented this. We have integrated all the different services into our CVentWDIO repository. In a summarized way, the implementation can be divided into three major parts. The first step involves building the service package. It involves a few steps in itself, like adding dependency into package.json, creating modules for each one of them. Some of the services need multiple modules to handle various aspects, which we'll talk about separately in each of the sections. This initial step allows us to use a rich library of functions that each of these services provide. We can store the authorization and authentication information that some of the services demand, customize some functions according to our own needs, create default configurations, defining way of reporting, and many more. These things are common and are kept in WDIO configs in the CVentWDIO repo. This step is part of the framework itself, and the most important fact is that the development team has nothing to do here. There is a separate team altogether to maintain and enhance this framework. The second step is the implementation, which involves importing the CVentWDIO into the project repository that the development team is working on. This step is supposed to be performed by the teams even for writing the UI end-to-end test, as this allows to import all the WDIO features and functions that you must use for your test. This automatically imports the default configurations for each service that you built in step 1 and allows you to define the settings and configurations for your test in case you plan to change the configuration of the test runs. This is done in the wdio.config.js file. A common example can be if you don't want to run your test, you may turn it off at this level. Every service has its own set of configurations defined for the test runs. We'll come across them later in our presentation. These run configurations are owned by the development team and they may have to change according to their needs. But these kind of settings and configurations are hardly required to be changed. And even if they need any change, they are mostly simple Boolean changes or sometimes little more minor changes, that's it. So the third and final step is the one which the development team completely owns. This is the same project repo that we talked about in the previous step. This is where we write our UI end-to-end test anyway, even if you do not consider non-functional testing. So simple modifications to these test specification files where we just have to add the steps and functions as available for each service at the appropriate places is enough to achieve our objective. It's quite easy to understand now what the tester or SDET needs to do in this entire cycle. You can simply write your automated test for non-functional testing along with the functional automated test itself. So you don't need to keep additional time for yourself just for performing or automating non-functional testing. So I hope the implementation strategy for all these services into Cvent WDI is clear to everyone now. This is a flavor across all the services we are going to talk about today. Let's look at each of them one by one. So for the next few slides, you will see the boxes like this, which will show you how each step that I have just talked about in the previous slide get implemented. And I would like to make it clear that the code that you are seeing here is not all. I'm providing some snippets which are considered important for you to understand the implementation, or that's a key implementation piece. So firstly, we'll see how we have implemented accessibility with X. We need to import the X core library into WebDriver IO by installing X core WebDriver IO package and its dependencies. This module uses a chainable API to assist in injecting, configuring, and analyzing X with Cvent WDIO. Basically, this step imports the X APIs using the X core library. This allows us to get access to various functions that we can use and define the default configuration. As you can see here, we are defining that the test should follow WCAG 2.1 level A, AA, and common accessibility best practices. So those who are not aware of WCAG's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and it governs the rules for accessibility. Certain WCAG standards are supposed to be followed to ensure accessibility compliance. At Cvent, we make sure that these guidelines are followed. That's the reason we have put it at this framework level itself. It also enables that the test should also run on iframes, which is widely used in Cvent products. This snippet defines the runX function, which is you can see just at the below this one, which internally uses x.run function provided by the X service. It also defines the total number of violations, details of the violation during the test. This is the function we are going to use in our test spec files to run accessibility test and report violations. Other than these, we can define more settings as well available through X APIs. For example, sorting according to the impact of violation, like critical and serious violations to be shown ahead of moderate and minor, processing of results returned according to the need, among many others. In this step 2, we are just setting up the configuration for the run. We need to import the X service in the configuration JavaScript file and make sure the is disabled field is false. If you don't want to run the test, this needs to be true. Run after each test enables the accessibility scan to be performed at the end of the test script, which is the last web page of the test runs through, whereas the run after command enables the scan to run after certain command is hit, like URL, open, click, or double click, allowing the test to run at key points. If the config is set to default, the test runs with settings mentioned in step 1 itself. Otherwise, you have the capability to have your own custom settings. You are seeing a section of how the default config should behave in step 1. Similarly, we have logic for all other components coded in step 1 itself. Now what we need to do in the final step, that is the test specification file. This example runs the accessibility scan on the web page and verifies that the violation count is same as the violation count in baseline. Here we are assuming that the baseline has been set earlier. X provides that function to set the baseline count as well. We can also simply export our results in JSON format, which provides all details, including the impact of violations. So I already told earlier that ApplyTools is used to detect visual differences. As far as the implementation is concerned, we need to install the dependency Eyes SDK core. The other one, and Eyes WebDriver IO, can also be used, which we are still working on to decide which one would be better for us. There are several benefits of WebDriver IO, but we are still analyzing. So Eyes SDK core provides access to functions like opening and closing Eyes setup, and most important, check function, which creates the visual checkpoints. Apart from these, we set up the ApplyTools server URL, the API key, as well as other settings in this step. Moving to step 2, we are simply initiating the run configuration in wdio.config.js file. Of course, the is disabled should be marked false to make the test run, and the browser info sets up the configuration of the system you want your test to run on. We can provide numerous other settings which are handled within step 1 itself. For example, branch name, if different from default, reporting related settings, concurrent settings, and many more ApplyTools specific settings. So before we move to step 3 now, we must understand that open, check, and close functions provided by ICE SDK core are the important functions we are going to use in our test specification files. These methods are used to create visual checkpoints in Applitool size, which is basically a sequence of screenshots compared with a baseline. The first time a test runs with a set of parameters like browser, operating system, viewport size, etc., it creates a baseline and makes it available in Applitools. During all subsequent runs of the test case in the same environment, like if the app name, browser, operating system, and viewport matches, the new screenshot will be compared with the baseline one to conclude whether the test failed. We also get a link to Applitools for the screenshots which have been captured during the test, wherein we can see the differences, if any, and have the capability to set the new screenshot as baseline. This is required in case the difference is expected and you want the new screenshot to be baseline. So we achieve compatibility making use of the combination of Applitools and Browser Stack. So as I just covered, Applitools, which handles the visual differences in an automated way, Browser Stack ensures the functionality remains unaffected across different platforms for us. WebDriver IO provides an easy integration with the Browser Stack simply by installing Browser Stack service dependency into package.json. We use various modules for Browser Stack. The Browser Stack v6 that you see here is used to set the user and key like this. Which is required to authorize to the Browser Stack Cloud. Browser Stack Local activates the feature for your test by enabling routing connections from Browser Stack Cloud through your machine. The uploader and reporter modules set up the reporting related configs. The combination of these two modules, the choose browser OS and the choose capabilities, help you set up the default capability, which means the platform configuration that you want to run the test on. As you can see here, I'm setting up my test to be run on a Windows 10 machine in i11 browser with a screen resolution of 1400 by 800. After the integration is done, the tester just needs to add the capabilities if different from the default, or you need the test to run on other platforms into the wdio config.js file like this. So multiple capabilities can also be added to the file to allow the test to be run in multiple platforms. An example of how to add a capability is provided here in step 2, which directs the test to run on Windows 10 machine in Chrome 91 browser with a screen resolution of 1366 cross by 768. So the best part of Browser Stack is you don't even need to have anything additional as step 3. Basically, it is just a two-step implementation. The test we have written will work for any platform we want the test to run on. We don't need any additional checkpoints. So now moving on to one of the most important non-functional aspect, performance. This is huge area, but for this activity, we have focused on the web page performance. As I said earlier, we are using the Chrome DevTools service, which internally uses Google Lighthouse. WebDriver IO provides an easy integration with DevTools service, somewhat like Browser Stack. We simply need to install DevTools service dependency into package.json. We also import the performance service package, which has two parts. One is reporter and the other is service, which generates the report data. So for the web page performance metrics, we import the DevTools service, which uses the Chrome DevTools and Lighthouse performance test into Cvent WDIO package. This service allows to capture performance data from every page load and transition caused by clicks. The config also needs to import performance reporter into the package as well to allow reporting. The step 2 initiates the run configurations. The DevTools service allows to add multiple functions in the test spec files now at appropriate places to gather and log performance metrics, audit, score, diagnostic, etc. during the usual test runs itself. They have the capability to provide performance metrics related to web page like visual changes, meaningful paint, contentful paint, and a lot more. These functions can be extended to emulate devices and using throttling CPU and network, as you can see an example here. The performance service must be enabled to run the test using the enable flag. The show console output flag sets if you want the logs to be printed in the console during the run, and output dir sets the directory to store the results if different from default that has been set in step 1. In this example test file, you can see that the browser.getMetrics collects different metrics from the web page being hit, and process.emit sends those metrics to performance reporter. The function browser.getMetricsScore, as you see here, also provides the performance score of the web page being hit, which is a quick check about the overall performance of a web page. The assertion in the last line, which you see here, that checks whether one of the metrics, the largest contentful paint of the web page, is less than a certain value. We have a lot of such metrics provided by this service, which you can use to assert on. Now, last but not the least, security is one of the most challenging and critical non-functional aspects. For implementing this automated solution for security testing, we have imported the ZAP service dependency into our project, provided by OWASP ZAP. Here we are using three modules. ZAP service is the one who is responsible for triggering the security check. It uses two services, launcher and worker service. Like you see here, the launcher service sets up the proxy in the system, and worker service helps in scanning for security vulnerabilities. As the name suggests, ZAP proxy sets up the proxy settings, and ZAP reporter defines how we want the reporting to work or define the format of reporting. The security scan method, which you see here at the bottom of step one, it is also defined as a step one layer, which uses various functions like action scan, get results, etc., to scan and report the vulnerabilities. The second step, which invokes the ZAP service into our WDIO configs, has three config parameters. Install and start installs ZAP into the system before the test starts and then invokes the test. Basically, this is a flag to initiate the run. Both spider and active need to be true to invoke an active scan, and they should be false to invoke a passive scan, which is provided as a default by ZAP. For Cvent products, we prefer to use an active scan. That's why we set this to true at this step itself. The test spec file in step 3 now needs to have appropriate functions like the browser.securityscan that I was talking about here, which accepts the URL of the web page in question and runs the scan over it. The example test spec file here runs the scan on the URL provided and adds an assertion that the result should not have any high-risk security violation. The security scan function, the one we talked about in step 1, provides three types of reports. Active summary, which is used in the above example, provides a count of risk-wise alerts, active results, which has detailed JSON containing the alerts, and spider, which provides the details of each risk. All these three reports can be stored in the report directory for further processing. So that's how we have implemented each of our services into WDIO, and you can see how easy this is to write tests for the development teams to cater all the non-functional testing. So whatever we have seen so far is not all. We get a lot of other benefits with this approach. We'll talk about those now. So as any other automated tests in WDIO run in Cvent on demand, these tests too can be triggered through Jenkins jobs. In fact, there is nothing to do additionally by the testers or SDET, since the existing job itself, which runs WDIO tests, triggers these two if the configs are enabled to do so. So no additional effort from this perspective, and everything is all set. There are more advantages too. With this process, we can simply add these to Jenkins pipeline as well, which makes regression and release certifications easier and quicker and makes continuous testing easy. Even after achieving all these benefits, one thing can still haunt us. We have so many results to look at the end of the test. The WDIO automation result itself, along with 5 different non-functional results we presented here. Isn't it a tedious task to look for these results at different places in our directory or the console logs? We have also created an in-house tool named QE Portal, which allows us to see all the results in one place. Basically, all the results captured from different sources are saved into our database, and results are processed into easily readable format and published in the QE Portal. One just needs to open a test link and access any result on the click of a button. So in this screenshot, you can see the detailed results of each accessibility violation reported during a test. One can easily see the violation reported in a web page, linked to give details about the violation, the impact of the violation, which can help to prioritize. This is another example of how a ZAP scan result looks like. It clearly shows the bug, the risk, description, as well as a proposed solution. The benefits we see to have all those results in one place is just unimaginable. Okay, so every solution has its own strengths, some weaknesses, which may create some opportunities, and there could be external threats as well. So I'm going to talk about the SWOT analysis of the solution we have provided here. Firstly, the strengths. So by now, you all must have understood what a tester or an SDET in the development team needs to do to implement all the non-functional testing for the product. Mostly the step 3 in each of the implementation we talked about earlier. So for that, do you think we need high technical knowledge or any expertise in any of the non-functional aspect? Some basic knowledge should be good enough to carry out all these activities, isn't it? So this solution solves one of our biggest challenges of limited time. So you don't need much of an additional time to implement these tests, because we just need to add some functions or checkpoints in our existing WDIO test, and everything is done. So you can have all your non-functional testing within the sprint as well. This process helps us in achieving shift left. With easy to implement automated tests for non-functional testing, scripts can be created very early in the development lifecycle, as Rajni was saying in one of the previous presentations. and can easily provide early feedback regarding each non-functional aspect, thereby saving cost for the company as well. Moreover, as we saw in the previous slides, by adding into Jenkins pipeline, we can achieve CI/CD by having continuous testing in practice. This helps us in accommodating non-functional testing, which is usually ignored in our regression, and helps in quicker release certification. The last point we already discussed, QE portal, which helps us to get all results at one place. Won't go much deeper into it right now. So now talking about the weaknesses. Yes, this solution too has some weakness, and every solution has. So some of the areas surely need to have some experts or specialized testing, which can't be ignored altogether. For example, we do need pen testing or threat modeling in detail for security. We need to do load testing of various layers of our architecture, be it APIs, GraphQL, and simply some metrics at the UI layer may not be enough. So we don't skip those, but the advantages we gain in terms of continuous testing and shifting left makes this solution a must-have for us. So you must have heard our keynote speaker, mainly Rajni, talking about the same point, that we must put some pieces to the left, if not all. So secondly, builds will take a lot of time to complete since we are asking it to handle a lot of things, of course. This is up to the development teams how they want to proceed with this challenge. One of the options they may opt is to run the non-functional test just on demand, but that's completely up to the teams. So one of the weaknesses that we talked about is the absence of specialized testing in this solution. We think this is an opportunity for us to explore more, and someday we may succeed in taking this into the framework as well, which will further add to the benefits of this solution. And lastly, if I talk about the threats, all the services we have integrated with, they are all external and we are completely relying on them. So any problem happening at their side will hamper our automated test. Any service not providing the support anymore, then we may have to change our approach as well. So that's it from our side. So do we